Oof. This one's going to be a doozy. 2018. Hockey Canada players were proven not guilty in a court of law. Oh man, this I didn't know how the hell I was gonna do this video. Listen, I'm just some random jackass on the internet, so my thoughts are my thoughts. Players are proven not guilty in a court of law. NHL's already come out with a statement that they are not allowed to play in the NHL until they do their own investigation. NHLPA's also said that that's not right and that these players are proven not guilty and should be able to resume their lives. This is a whole quagmire. And listen, we could get into the argument of, were they really guilty? Are they not guilty? Should the NHL allow them back in? Should they not allow them back in? Because the NHL, it is a privilege, not a right, to play in that league. But there has been players that have done some questionable stuff and have been able to resume their NHL careers. So it gets into a very, very gray area of how the NHL is going to handle this thing altogether. Because if they're proven not guilty in the court of law, what merit do they have to stand on to not allow these players to resume their careers? And you're going to have the subsection of people that say, hey, not guilty, they are proven innocent, allow them to resume their lives. And there's going to be the other corner that, regardless of guilty, not guilty verdict, they believe what those 5 players did was morally disgusting and they should not have a chance to play in the best hockey league on the planet. Where do I fall in all this? Again, who really cares what I think? But hey, you clicked on this video, not me. I'll give you kind of my perspective. Do I think what those 5 players did was stupid? Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a very good learning lesson for a lot of young men that put themselves in these situations and think it's not going to come and bite them in the ass. Really, truly. Did all 5 of those guys really need to get together and have a good old hoedown together and just start performing sexual acts in the room? Like, did you need your boys to hold your hand while you're doing it? Like, there was some weird stuff that came out in that case. I'm like, that's a little questionable, a little sus. I'm just being honest. A little suspect behavior there, and I think disgusting and morally irreprehensible. And if you're gonna have these acts, pick the right partner. Don't just pick some random woman that you don't even know. And obviously, I'm talking as if the court case and ruling is true. Like, it was consensual. So putting that out the way. Like, if it was not consensual, that's a whole different conversation. But what the court said, it was consensual, so I'm going along those lines. Even with consenting, like, until you really know somebody, in my personal opinion, you shouldn't be doing these acts because you're opening yourself up for so much bullshit down the line. I mean, we saw that with the Trevor Bauer situation, the MLB. Stuff comes out way after the case that shows that it was consensual and that there was some weird stuff going on there with that woman. I forget her name. And yeah, I mean, that was kind of a disgusting behavior, but you need to pick your partners a lot wiser. And just having casual sex, I'm going to say this to all young men, I don't think is a good idea, especially in this day and age. So again, young men, choose your partners wisely and don't get lost in the sauce. Really. Don't get lost because you think you're the biggest, baddest thing in that space. Think with the right head, not the wrong one. Now, as for them not playing in the NHL and the possibility, realistically, I think the only one, maybe McLeod could, but really the only guy I could maybe see really resuming their career would be Carter Hart. And that's just because he has the NHL All-Star potential as a goaltender. Now, a year off of hockey is not a good thing. That definitely doesn't help his development. But if a team was going to take a flyer on any of these guys, if they're allowed to play again, it would most likely be him. I mean, are they going to bring in a bottom pairing defenseman or bottom 6 forward or backup goaltender with all that hoopla and things of that nature? No. But for Carter Hart, I could see him resuming an NHL career at some point. But with the other players, I think it's going to be a bit more difficult because the talent to headache ratio just does not make sense, really. And then you're going to have that section of your fan base that, regardless of whatever the ruling was always going to view these people as evil, monstrous people. And that could become a problem. They don't want to deal with the headaches. I know this is a different sport, but I'm just going to be honest. I like, on a non-scumbag. Like, think about Tim Tebow, for example, right? Teams didn't want him around as a backup. Wasn't because he, wasn't a nice guy. He was a faithful Christian, all that good stuff, whatever. But it's because of all the media attention that the backup quarterback would have and the controversy that would cause. Sports teams, corporations, just as a whole, they don't want all that hoopla. They want you to go in, do your job, and the only attention they want is positive attention. So, ultimately, what do I think happens? I think the NHL will eventually let all of these players be able to participate, but I maybe only see a couple of them actually getting another chance in the NHL. Some of them might have to go overseas and might have to wait for a little bit until some of this dies down. Now, I could be incorrect. Maybe all five, at some point in the next couple years, make it back or make it into the NHL in the first place, and all well and good. But I just think for most teams, it wouldn't be worth the hassle. I mean, shoot. The Bruins, who was that kid? Mitchell, I think. What was his name? The Bruins, I remember the Bruins remembering in a prospect. I'll put up on screen, so it's slipping my mind right now. Brought in a prospect with some terrible pass to him. They brought him in as a draft pick, I believe. And then signing, excuse me. And then a week later, because the fan base found out what he did, he's like, adios, amigos. This stigma for a lot of these players is always going to be around, and some teams are not going to want to deal with it. But I'd like to know your thoughts down below. Do you think these 5 players should be able to resume their NHL careers? Do you believe that they should not? Do you believe that this is a privilege, not a right? And what did you think about the court case altogether? Kind of reading through and sifting through a lot of stuff, and it was interesting how some of the stuff that was said in court that I'm not sure I could say because it could get taken down off this platform. I'm already in enough copyright claims. I don't need a strike to add into the mix. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and see you guys in the next one.